I mean, I'd hedge every dollar in my bank account that you're not from this
I
country.
didn't think Charlie Kirk cooked you. You did quite well, mate.
Yeah. Hey, Tori, thank you for the $20 donation over on Venmo, saying I think it's crazy that somebody not from America knows more than your average conservative by a long shot. Yeah, that's another thing. They always do, dude. I swear to God. Like the Trump supporters that will come up here from other countries are typically like much more like level-headed, reasonable, and knowledgeable than Trump supporters from America. But thank you for the $20, Tori. If everyone could please show some love to Tori down below in that chat. And what is going on, Mr. Rodrigo? How are we doing?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. So you donated $70 to get my attention to get up on this live. That is quite a pretty penny just to come and debate me. I feel like very very special.
You are very special. Everyone's special. Can I make a suggestion for you? When I tried to donate to you via Venmo, it was asking me for your last four of the phone number, and I could not find them.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that Venmo does that as like a security thing. But there's always a button on the bottom of the Venmo screen.
I didn't
that
see
says,
it.
like, it says like skip without confirming.
Didn't see that. That's why I was just going to make a suggestion. You could make one that just says like 1111, just so it's easy for people if they miss it. But missed that. So awesome. So wanted to talk to you about, it's actually funny because the last guest was just touching on the topic, and it was the cover up of the Hunter Biden laptop. That was what I wanted to bring up. And when you touched on just a moment ago that, you know, you would be upset if it was that, you know, people were actively doing that. We do know that they were, because
Yeah, the FBI was actively covering up the story. No, that was a part of what I said. I acknowledge that.
Hold on one second. We do know for a fact that Anthony Blinken requested the letter from the 51 spies. He requested it. He started it. They created a piece of propaganda intentionally to deceive the public that that laptop was fake. That happened.
Okay. 1 second. I'm not really too knowledgeable on the Hunter Biden laptop story. I think I know the basics. Let's see here. Unpacking the claim that Biden lied to Congress. Does this involve Biden lying to Congress at all? Because I looked at Anthony Blinken.
No, this involves, I'm on the judiciaryhouse.gov. It's testimony, and the testimony was from Michael Morrell, and Michael Morrell testified. He said House Judiciary and Intelligence Committee, and revealed that Blinken was, quote, the impetus of the public statement signed in October 2020 that implied the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden and was disinformation.
Okay.
So the campaign themselves was contacting 51 people who are ex-spies and everything else. They created a fake document in order to create propaganda, and Biden then used that propaganda in the debate and said 51 intel agents. They literally had that created for him to say that during the debate.
Do you want me to be honest with you? A lot about politics and modern American history. A lot about the policy from the last two administrations and the two campaigns in the 2024 election, and just a lot about super random things that have just kind of popped up in these live streams over the course of the last 2 years. But I don't know that much about the Hunter Biden laptop story. I will offer you two things.
Okay.
I could use the information that I have to try to give you a compelling argument, like why either you're wrong or why we should care less about this and more about things Trump has done / is doing. Or the second option is for me to actually do like deeper research into the laptop story. So when I'm having this conversation with you, I could push back with fact while knowing exactly what you're referencing.
Understandable. This is very easily verifiable within a minute. You can read, two little short paragraphs. It happened. That's exactly what happened. And that is a major problem. So I understand you may not know that. I would really, really hope that you will look that up and verify that, because I think that every person in the United States should agree if that is wrong. You cannot use ex-intel agents to create propaganda because your son, and also I wanted to touch on this also. You said that they had the laptop, but they didn't verify it. That's not true. They did verify the laptop prior to that. That is an untrue statement. So the FBI.
Okay, I will happily do more research into it. I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't want the information about the laptop story from you, but like rather from like miscellaneous bipartisan or non-partisan reporting on the topic from the internet. So I could promise you I could look more into the laptop. Here, do you mind if I just ask you a general question?
Sure.
So you are like very worried and concerned about threats to the American democracy to try to sway the opinion, to either sway the public into voting against their interests, or into like forcing the public to vote in a particular way through manipulation.
I think that the number one concern in our country right now is the level of propaganda coming from the left.
Okay. Well, that's not really directly an answer to my question. I'm just asking you if you care about threats to the American democracy. Also, Matt, if you happen to know a lot about the Hunter Biden laptop story, please feel free to pop up. It would not only be an opportunity for a good conversation, Matt, but also be a really good opportunity for me to use a restroom. So, I mean, first, you're saying that you think most of the propaganda in our country is coming from the left. Holy fucking shit. I disagree so much. Okay, it is propaganda that won Donald Trump the 2020 election. Like Donald Trump went parading around saying that he was going to completely get rid of inflation. He went around saying that all. Sorry, I meant to say 2024.
Okay.
And it was Donald Trump who was going around saying that he was going to be able to completely eliminate all inflation, that he was going to be able to drastically drop the price of groceries.
Inflation is going down.
He said that he was going to get rid of inflation. Not to mention, I think the reason why we've seen inflation going down recently is because we're on the brink of a recession.
That sounds bad. Do you remember when they changed the definition of the word recession when it happened under Biden?
So I do know what you're referencing. I'd say, I personally hold to the definition of a recession as just 2 financial quarters with negative GDP growth. The reason I personally hold to that definition of a... One moment. Would you allow me to finish?
Sure.
The reason why I hold to that definition of a recession is because I'm not an economist and I don't really know about the more niche specifics and how like maybe raising levels of unemployment during 2 negative quarters of GDP growth would mean that we shouldn't use this as a definition of recession. But in a nutshell, anyways, the reason why they did try to change the definition of a recession under the Biden-Harris administration in 2022 is although we did see negative GDP growth, we also saw other indicators that weren't necessarily indicative of a economy that was shrinking. I think during that same time, we saw increases in employment alongside a couple other factors. So that's basically when the economists stepped in and they were like, although we do have 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, it is the case that maybe we need to like explain what a recession is and redefine it with like more specific indicators because there's other things going on in this economy that aren't indicative of a recession. But for all intents and purposes, I am okay of accepting the more classical definition of 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. And what I'll say here is that under the current administration, it will be Trump's policy that is 110% responsible for the manufactured recession. He is causing it. Meanwhile, the 2 quarters of negative GDP growth under the Biden-Harris administration were not caused by them or their policy. In fact, they were caused by the pandemic, in which they did a very good job at mitigating the negative consequences of.
So that's a very long-winded answer for I'm right.
Wait, if your original claim was just that they tried to change the definition, you're right. But I explained why that's not necessarily a bad thing.
So you're explaining to
on a more
me,
conceptual level.
I understand that you're explaining to me how they explain creating the propaganda. I understand that.
The claim that that's propaganda, I don't think that's true. So I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't think that like economists refining the definition of a term because we saw other indicators in the economy that were indicative of a growing economy, not necessarily a recession is a bad thing. Dude, but I think overwhelmingly the claim that I'm making that I'd love to hear your response on is, while it is a case that I don't think the Biden-Harris administration caused the negative implications we saw in the economy in 2022. Meanwhile, I do believe that it is the fault of the current administration's policy for the manufactured recession that we're barreling towards.
Well, that's a complete hypothetical because you don't know that. And we do know for a fact that it was
I'm confident in saying that I do know that. I'd say that I do know that we are barreling towards a recession. Yeah, I'd say that I know that.
Okay. Well, it hasn't happened yet, so I would rather not talk about it. But going back to what we were talking about earlier.
The idea of barreling towards it is happening right now. That is happening.
Okay. The thing that I'd like to go back towards is the defending democracy. That is the number one issue, I believe, for a lot of people on the right, is to stop this weaponization that the left has put into place with the DOJ, FBI, CIA. It's a major problem. And until the left really takes accountability for what they've done, we can't move forward as a country. You guys have to take accountability for this and hold your representatives accountable because they lied to everyone for years about a bunch of BS.
So I do think it is important for us to hold our representatives accountable. However, I do
Yes.
not believe that the Biden-Harris administration weaponized the DOJ against Trump, and specifically as it relates to your claim about defending democracy. In fact, I argued the same thing before the election, and I do still yet to this day, because Donald Trump has posed the largest internal threat on the American democracy since the Civil War when he tried to steal the 2020 election from Biden.
Oh my goodness. You're ignoring the 2016 election that Hillary Clinton and them tried to overthrow Trump with the Russia lie?
Well, actually,
you're the
so
OG
Russia
of denying elections. The OG is Hillary Clinton and the
I don't
Democratic
believe
Party.
that. So
Okay.
about 2016, it is the case that it was proven via the Mueller report that Russia had interfered with the 2016 election and had even colluded with some of Donald Trump's closest friends.
was
like
never
Rudy
proven.
Giuliani.
That was never proven.
Yes, it was by the Mueller report. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question, and we're gonna. This is gonna be.
Wait. Can you just recognize that what I said is true? Like it was proven that Russia did interfere and did collude with people like Rudy Giuliani.
I do not know that that is true. No.
I've read a lot of stuff. You're gonna know that in just a second. So
Robert Mueller found, because he was investigating Trump specifically, he found that Trump...
I'm going to go pee real quick.
Okay. He found that Trump specifically did not know or was not involved in any Russian collusion, right? That's what he found. But he found certain people in the campaign were trying to do it. People like Paul Manafort, people like George Papadopoulos, people like that, right?
no, that's not true at all. That's not
That
true.
is true.
No,
George Manafort went to prison because
Yes, George
of the fact...
Papadopoulos went to jail too, and he went to jail for lying. He didn't.
No, they go into
nothing to
line.
do-
But if you read the report, which I got on my bookshelf, by the way,
I read the report.
If you read the report, he found substantial evidence that certain people in the campaign, right, sought the Russians to get information on Hillary Clinton, right? Now, that does not mean that Donald Trump directed it or knew about it, right? That's not the claim, right? But the primary argument of the report was that Donald Trump did met the case for obstruction of justice, right? That was the primary thing about it, right? But I think no one really denies, one, that the Russians tried to influence the race, and two, that certain people in the campaign sought an agreement with Russia. It's just that they failed at getting that agreement.
What was the
right?
agreement they sought?
To get dirt on Hillary Clinton in order to influence the race. One of those propaganda points that you brought up, because I will admit.
Okay,
hold on. I will admit certain things about the left being quote unquote propaganda. If you admit certain things about the right also being propaganda.
I will definitely do that when you point it out. Here's my question.
Wait. Okay, I did, and you pivoted away from it. I just want to clarify that just to like roll off of what Matt just said. It's funny because what Matt just said, that what I just walked back to, is exactly what I was going to say the next time I got the mic. Is that you are like changing this conversation to Hillary Clinton.
Address
One
it
moment.
very
Whoa. Changing this conversation to 2016 with Hillary Clinton to completely escape holding Trump to any level of accountability for literally trying to steal. No. To literally change the conversation to escape giving any accountability to Donald Trump for literally trying to install himself for a second presidential term in 2020. He literally tried to risk from the
I'll
swing
talk about
states.
all that with you, I promise, and I'll disprove of many of the things you're saying. But first, can we acknowledge that in
Whoa!
2016
I actually brought the. No. Right, we can't, because I brought 2020 up first, and then you use that as a tool to pivot to 2016.
Because you said it's never happened in human history, and I said
No, I said this is the largest internal attack on the American democracy since the Civil War, which is absolutely true.
And it's not, because 2016 was, and the people have been charged for lying.
So you think that 2016 was a larger internal attack on the American democracy compared to 2020?
Yeah. Are you kidding?
I want you to be able to get. I want you to be able to provide.
president.
I want you to be able to provide those reasons after you at least address and acknowledge that Donald Trump did try to steal the election from Biden in 2020.
I do not acknowledge that at all. He never,
Yeah, and see, and that's why, like,
Yeah.
frankly, that's why I'm going to
No.
reject all your propaganda claims about the
No,
left
because he
you
didn't try to
can't.
steal it.
No.
He
Because
went
you
through
can't
legal
see.
recourse and tried to.
No,
he went
I'm
through
sorry,
legal recourse.
because
Sorry.
I granted
now answer
you.
my
No,
questions. Answer my questions about the OG of who's.
sorry, Dean. I'm gonna mute him because I want to say something. So,
Actually, I think I muted him before you did.
oh, okay, good. Okay, no. I am not going to have a dishonest debate. If you're going to come in here and claim things about the left, which fine, you can do that and we can talk about that. But one of the classic case studies of the last 10 years has been the whole stop the steal propaganda myth, which is a case study in propaganda orchestrated by Donald Trump. The idea that it was a day of peace, that there was nothing going on, that everything was rigged, blah, blah, blah. That is a case study in the right wing propaganda. And if you admitted that, then I would admit that on the left, there was clearly some examples of propaganda too. But unless you admit that, then I'm not going to play this game.
And here's exactly what we want you to admit to. The following statements that I am going to make are facts. And they've been admitted to by Donald J. Trump, as well as his lawyers, such as Will Scharf. Okay? In the 2020 election, Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden by sending fake slates of electorates to 7 states that Biden won. Once these fake slates of electorates were in the 7 states, they sent false certificates of ascertainment, which is the total vote from those states, from the state to Congress. Once those fake certificates of ascertainment hit the floor of Congress on January 6th, Donald Trump then directed Mike Pence, his vice president, to either feign ignorance over which votes were real and which votes were fake, so the election would be kicked back to the House, so the House could install Trump, or he expected Mike Pence to accept the fake votes to install himself for a second term. Okay? This has all been admitted to, both in congressional hearings, okay, such as Jack Smith's case against Trump, as well as it's been admitted to the Supreme Court by his attorney, Will Scharf. And in fact, Will Scharf, his legal representation then and now, has spoken about this on CNN. He was interviewed by a lady on CNN. She straight up asked him, what about the fake votes your guys sent into Congress? And then he was like, we don't call them fake votes. We call them alternative votes. And well, we tried to rig the election from Biden because we think Biden stole it from us, which is obviously proven to be false. So everything I just said is true and has been admitted to by Trump.
Are you guys done with that now?
Yeah, I just want you to acknowledge that every word that just came out of my mouth was factual, undeniable facts.
I don't know that because I've not read any of that. The same way you didn't read the Hunter Biden report, and you won't talk about that.
I'll go ahead and I'll play you a clip of Will Sharp talking about these things. So
Yeah, but anything can be taken out of context. Why won't you play a clip and look up the Hunter Biden laptop
I'll
stuff
play
that I
whatever.
sent you?
I'll play whatever clip you'd like me to. But right now, specifically to a scene in Anchorage from Biden. I think I disconnected there for a second. I don't really know what just happened. But anyway,
Yeah, you did.
Now. What happened?
I don't know. He just went on pause.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
strange.
By the way, if you're one of the 6.2 thousand people watching over on TikTok, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip. Let me find it real quick. I always reference the same clip from the same YouTube video. Here it is.
Conduct, the immune acts in the indictment are stripped away, that Jack Smith doesn't have a case, that this case should be dismissed on that basis. I don't think there's sufficient private.
I thought I had on. This is Will Scharf. This was Donald Trump's legal representation in 2020 and is still his legal representation today.
Conduct here to support the indictment, to support the ongoing prosecution. And that's what we're going to be litigating in front of the district court now.
Even just the false slates of electors, you don't think that would constitute enough for a trial?
Well, we would say alternate slates of electors. And as we argued before the Supreme Court, alternate slates of electors have been a method used by previous presidents, most notably Ulysses S. Grant. to ensure the integrity of prior elections. So we believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency. That's what we argued before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has reserved that issue for determination by the district court, and we'll see how arguments fall in front of the district court.
Yeah.
So just like to reiterate what he said. So she asks him about the fact that he sent fake slates of electorates with fake votes to send to Congress. He's like, well, we don't like to call them fake. We call them alternate. And he argues that he did this to ensure the integrity of the election, which all that means is that they thought that the outcome of 2020 was not one with integrity because they thought Biden had stole it from them. So to quote unquote ensure that integrity, they tried to rig it back.
What did the district court filing? What was that ruling?
So I don't think any rulings were ever made.
So that's a claim that by a person in a court that means nothing.
Well, the reason why this means a lot, even though a ruling was never made by courts,
So nothing was proven. You told me it was proven, and it was not. You do not have a court.
It was proven. If you would allow me to finish.
Go ahead.
So the litigation in the district courts and to the Supreme Court wasn't over if Donald Trump had done these things, because a part of Donald Trump's legal argument was to admit to them. The litigation in the district court and to the Supreme Court was rather to dictate if Donald Trump should receive criminal repercussions or if he should be immune because he was president. My claim is just that he did these things and that it is a fact that he did these things. And my evidence that it is a fact that he did these things is because he admitted to them.
Correct, because they're not illegal. I'll admit to driving down the road the proper speed limit.
So let me get this straight. So if child marriage was legal and Donald Trump married a kid, it'd be fine because it was legal.
So you said that you had a fact that these things happen, and it is not a fact.
Yes, it is a fact that these things happen.
Show me the court filing. You can't because it never happened. And everything that you just
what makes it illegal.
Wait.
Sorry, Dean. Go ahead.
I want you to be able to explain that, Matt, because there's a very strong argument that it's illegal. Okay? You're interrupting me again. I'm about to charge you another $70 to stay up on my live because you were becoming very insufferable.
Proving you wrong.
So no, you're not. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate the position. Okay? My position is that it is a fact that Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020 by sir.
I just proved it to you.
$5 already right there. Every interruption, $5. Come on, dude. Just act your age, and I'll stop yanking your leg. I'll stop fucking with you if you could just listen to me.
I will listen to you.
So my argument is that it is a fact that Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020 by sending fake slates of electors to 7 key swing states with fake votes that he then sent back to Congress. Okay? My evidence for that is that he admitted to this all in court. Okay? And in fact, I just played you a clip of his lawyer saying that their argument was for Donald Trump to admit to it, but then to try to argue that it was legal because he should have immunity as he was president. The big issue with you saying that guilt was not determined in court, therefore I don't have evidence for my claims, that would only be true if the guilty verdict that I was seeking from those court cases would have proved that he was guilty for trying to rig the election. But that's not true. He admitted to trying to rig the election, and all a guilty verdict in these courts would have meant was that it was illegal for him to do so, as he does not have immunity because he was president. But once again, I'm not making an argument from legality, okay? I'm making an argument from morality and what this means for America's future. I don't care if cooing our civil and electoral processes is legal. If a candidate in a presidential race does this, or if a current president has done this in the past, that should automatically disqualify them from it, point blank, period. So now that we understand that I'm not making an argument that he did something illegal, although that argument can be made, I'm rather making the argument that he literally admitted to trying to steal the election from Biden.
Okay, I heard all of that, and now can I say everything that you just said, you keep saying this, but let me ask you a question. Has any other president done this before?
Well, they said the last president who did it was Ulysses S. Grant following the Civil War.
Okay.
The answer is no, by the way. No.
So there is precedent.
No,
and
there's
then
not precedent.
So they're filing this.
Grant
case
did not send false states of electors. Grant sent observers down to the southern states because he did not want the southern states to do a bunch of like crap with like ballot posting and stuff like that. That's what he did. So yes, Grant did stuff, but he didn't send false states of electors. That was a election that was highly disputed, because the southern states were like doing a bunch of like highly bad stuff. That's why.
And also,
Okay,
I'll just make it incredibly clear that if Grant did do this, this just means that I'd never vote for you.
Means that Trump had legal precedent to do this. You keep saying that he tried to steal it. What he did was he filed legal documents.
You understand that you're arguing that he just tried to legally steal it. Can you do that?
By the way,
He filed a legal document that everyone's allowed to file.
No, that's not true. No, actually, what you just said is wrong. You know why? The underlying legal claim for why these electors are fake and therefore illegal is because the actual documents that they filed, the certificates of ascertainment, were themselves fake. They were
And you can see them.
They were illegally drafted. That makes the electors. That makes the electors that come from. Dude, let me talk. For the love of God, man. That makes the electors from those documents therefore illegal by definition.
Right. Then also, you could even read. You could read emails that the governor's offices of these 7 states sent to Congress saying that they have no clue where these fake certificates of ascertainment come from. They are not theirs. They are not official. They are unofficial. And they are not the real total vote from the state. Okay?
Sounds terrible. Take it to court and then see what happens.
We did, and we tried, but his
And
conservative
nothing
buddies
happened.
ruled that the president basically can do whatever the fuck he wants.
So let's move on from the topic because...
No. The reason I'm not willing to move on is because you basically saying that the president gets to do whatever he wants and you only care if it's illegal is terrible. Like that is such a bad fucking standard. You know, like imagine this. Let's imagine that after the Supreme Court, you did. Let's imagine that if after the Supreme Court made their ruling about presidential immunity, and then Harry Sisson sent out that tweet where
let's
he was
talk
like,
about reality.
Sir,
what did happen?
Sir, and then
You
Harry
don't
Sisson,
let people speak.
Sir,
You're
I don't let
getting
people speak while they
destroyed.
interrupted me. And then Harry Sisson sent out that tweet where he was like, well, now Biden could legally send SEAL Team 6 to take Trump out before the election. Imagine that was true, and Biden did do that, and then it was litigated by the Supreme Court that he has presidential immunity and what he did was not criminal. Do you think it would be a fair argument that Biden was trying to impede upon the American democracy and nobody should support or vote for him because he literally unalived the person he was running against, even though it was legal?
I don't like playing hypotheticals. I just know that this happened.
Because it's hypothetical is your argument, but I digress.
The argument was that I'm telling you that there's no court case and there isn't, and you have acknowledged that.
Engage
There
with
is
the
court
hypothetical.
cases.
You acknowledge it's not a fact and you were wrong.
Please engage with the hypothetical. I understand that this is stressing Matt the fuck out because Matt's over here like, oh my god, I could prove.
No,
to
it's because there was a court case. It was just dismissed.
Yeah,
it
but
existed.
You guys out.
But
Okay, let's go
I
on
want
to
you
the
to
next
respond
one.
to the hypothetical. No, nobody's moving on anywhere. When the Supreme Court made their ruling that presidents have immunity from the things they do, and then Harry Sisson sent that tweet out, and he was like, now Biden could like literally unalive his political opponent with SEAL Team 6, and what he did would be
Right,
legal
that's
because
not
he's
what the
immune.
Supreme Court said.
And that statement was true. And then Biden did end up unaliving his opponent, and then it went to the Supreme Court,
All
and
of
they
these
did
things
rule
are
that
untrue.
presidential immunity would apply. Do you think it'd be a valid argument to say that you should not vote for Biden because he literally unalived his his political opponent, even though it was technically legal?
It wasn't legal because your premise in the first take was not wrong.
Okay, third grader. This is a hypothetical. Do
You
your
can't
best.
create a hypothetical.
Yes,
that's
you can. Quite frankly,
incorrect.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now.
You know you're doing
if
it, but-
Biden legally unalived the person he was running against in the
He
election,
can't do that.
It's a hypothetical, assuming that he could. All right. Do you think there would exist a valid argument that you shouldn't vote for Biden because he's a threat to democracy, even though what he did was legal?
I don't even understand what in the hell you are asking.
Well, okay, well, let me clarify. Okay.
Okay.
Biden legally unalives the person he's running against. Do you think it'd be a valid argument to say you shouldn't support him because he's a threat to democracy?
Yeah, I think that would probably be a bad idea.
Or do you think that it would be a really good argument to say that you should never support that guy because he's a huge threat to democracy?
Yeah, if that what the hypothetical that you just said that is not in reality, that would be a bad thing.
All right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So, sure, we could sit here all day and go back and forth about the legality of what Trump did, but at the end of the day, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck, because regardless if he was immune or not immune from criminal repercussions for literally
you
trying to rig the
understand.
election, he still literally tried to rig the election, okay? And I think that fact on its own serves as a huge threat to the American democracy, and the fact that you have the boot so far down your throat that you think merely arguing, well, he's a president, therefore he's immune, therefore what he did was legal, it's just you being sympathetic to authoritarianism. It is you being sympathetic towards fascism. You know that guy, Mr. Putin, over there in Russia? You know, he's unalived a shit ton of the people that have ran against him in his presidential elections. And every single time it's been legal. Every single time. What about North Korea too? Apparently my mic is going to shit. Give me a moment.
No, it sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I heard all of it.
Interesting.
Okay. Sorry, I had to unplug it and plug it back in. Actually, no, it's still popping.
So you just said during that vomit that immunity is the reason the case was never brought. That is not true. Immunity had nothing to do with this. So the case was never, that is not why this case was not brought. So again, you're wrong.
Which case?
Give me a second. Okay, Chad, are we good now?
Yeah,
think that we're
sounds
good.
good. Yeah.
Sorry, it was popping really bad over on YouTube. But anyways, basically, at the ground level, my argument is, I don't give a shit about the legality of what he did. I don't give a shit about what conservative judges said or didn't say. The fact of the matter is, he tried to install himself as president when he lost a public election. And that alone should be a red line that you hold against him.
Here's what actually happened. He filed a court case and meant for it to go to the Supreme Court so he could do that. Then January 6th interrupted that from happening. And then all the Republicans switched over and they moved forward. That's what actually happened.
So I just want to clarify, you deny that he tried to install himself for a second presidential term?
No one, of course I deny that.
Okay. Well, I think that you have no base to deny that because
How
he
could
literally...
Why?
Yeah, because he tried to get himself in the White House without winning in the Electoral College by manipulating the Electoral College.
And how did he do this?
With fake certificates of ascertainment that.
But he filed a lawsuit in order. So he went to the court and said, "Hey guys, look, this is illegal. I want to file a lawsuit." And you're saying that means he was trying to steal the election?
He didn't get the
No. That
from
came
any court to
after.
send the fake slates of electorates. That
Yeah,
came after.
that was after.
Like what he did
Right,
to
he
install
filed
himself
the electors
was he
and-
sent the fake slates of electors to the states with the fake certificates of
Right.
ascertainment that you can actually see if you Google.
Right, so
I'm
then
actually pretty
what
sure that there's
happens-
pictures of
Right.
the fake certificates
So
of
then that
ascertainment
triggers a lawsuit that never happened.
on the Wikipedia page, specifically of the fake electorates. And then when the fake certificates of ascertainment got back in the hands of Congress, that's when Mike Pence was like, I value to deny these fake certificates of ascertainment, and I'm going to elect Joe Biden, right?
Yeah. And
I'm
some
like,
states. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was also just gonna add on and clarify that you could even listen to a clip of Mike Pence saying that I no longer support Trump because Trump asked me to place him above the Constitution. And I mean, this isn't even referencing the fact that Bill Barr got cooed out of the DOJ for considering running along with Trump's plan of falsely announcing widespread voter fraud. And by the way, everything I just said was true. You will not be able to deny. You will not be able to deny any one of those individual statements. You can't deny he tried to get fake votes for himself in Congress to install himself for a second term, and that's a fact of the matter.
Where did you hear the Bill Barr information? Because I've never heard that.
Bill Barr told us himself.
Yeah.
So Bill
wrote a
Barr
book.
stepped down because he was going to follow Trump's.
Yeah, no, he stepped down because he was asked to do it, and he said, I cannot do it, and he said, I'd rather step down, and so he stepped down because he was not going to do it.
I thought he
so
said
the claim
that
is
other
coming from
people.
Bill Barr's mouth.
What?
Bill The evidence for the claim is Bill Barr. The
Yeah.
evidence that Trump tried to pressure Bill Barr into falsely announcing what
I'm well aware of all of that
Bill
happening.
Barr.
I thought that you said other people forced him to step down because Bill Barr was going to go along with it.
Well, I mean, the
I've
other
never
people. I
heard
mean,
that.
technically, Trump put like a pressure campaign on him, saying, "Do this or I'll fire you," and he's like, "Well, I'd rather just step down," and so he just like stepped down. But like he
Right, I know
was
that.
being pressured to do something he didn't want to do.
I know all that. I'm saying he made the claim that other people were forcing Bill Barr because Bill Barr
No,
was
a
going
lot
to
of
come out.
a lot of DOJ employees threatened to quit if Bill Barr did it.
Okay, I know that he quit because Trump was asking him and that he didn't do it. I know all that. I was just simply saying I'd never heard that it was just confusion. So point being is that what Donald Trump did was he did something another president has done in the past. He did it. It went to court and it was
Matt
never
did-
finished up in court.
Matt disputed that claim too.
Well, he can dispute it, and then we can go to court and figure it out, which we were never able to do.
No, I
just wanna
disputed
clarify.
your claim, not Trump's claim.
So I just want to clarify, like the crux of your position is essentially that you think Donald Trump tried to legally steal the election, right?
It's not stealing the election when you do something legal. When
It
somebody
wasn't
else-
legal.
Here, the crux of the matter
Well,
is.
let me go ahead
Hold
and
on.
I'm going to go ahead and define steal the election, and I want you to tell me why I'm wrong. Okay?
Dude,
that fair?
you keep
I'm sighing because
repeating
we've
the
been over
same-
this like
you keep
5 times.
I know. So when I say
thing.
steal the election, all that I'm saying is that the people voted against him. So then he just made fake votes from fake people that were for him. Like that's all. So that's what I mean by steal the election. You're just arguing the way he made the fake votes from fake people.
That's not even what he was
legal.
trying to do. All he wanted to do was send it back to the states so that
Wait,
they
certificates of ascertainment were. So like a certificate of ascertainment is a single piece of paper where it totals the votes from the constituents of a state and it shows how many people voted for red and how many people voted for blue and then how many people voted for the miscellaneous independent candidates. Okay? So the fake certificates of ascertainment that Donald Trump installed just like had a fake amount of people voting for him. Like they upped the number
Not
of people
even that
voted
though.
for
Like
Trump.
it goes worse than that because the ascertainment has to be signed by the legislature,
I
and so
think
they
that we
forge signatures
Yeah.
in order to make it official.
Yeah. So like
Like that makes it worse.
Yeah, so what's proven once again is that he tried to what you think is proven is that he tried to legally steal the election by legally installing fake votes from fake people for himself, right?
Nope.
Okay,
You
so
just keep
wait.
trying to twist
So
everything,
I just want to clarify. So you don't think that the apparently legal fake certificates of ascertainment he sent to Congress had fake votes for himself? So they were all real votes for himself? Because they're either real or fake. So all of the votes on his legal fake certificates of ascertainment, were they real or were they fake?
Dude, none of that even matters.
No, I want you to answer the question. The votes on his alternative certificates of ascertainment,
alternative,
were they
yes.
real or were they fake? Like
They
the
were
actual
alternative,
votes,
correct.
were they real or were they fake? The actual votes on these certificate of ascertainments that he had.
They were alternative, yes.
I'm asking you about the literal vote tally on the piece of paper.
I
So
have no
so
idea.
like
I've
the, so
never
like
read
the,
into this.
So, like the real certificate of ascertainment from the governor's office.
Nobody
let's just
cares
say,
about this.
Let's just say from like Wisconsin, 20K votes for Biden, 15K votes for Trump. The alternative certificate of ascertainment for Trump, 20K votes for Biden, 25K votes for Trump.
By the way, I'm sorry. He just said that nobody cares about this. This is the Constitution here. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you might not care because you don't. I guess I give a damn about like our system of like governance, but I care. Dean cares. Like, millions of people in this country care because we care about having a orderly constitutional system.
Like the American people being able to elect our public officials, specifically the president. Like, of course I care about that. But answer my question. So, like the vote tallies on his alternative certificates of ascertainment, were those vote tallies real?
They're
or
fake.
Were those vote? Okay.
Yeah,
So there we go. So you think that Donald Trump legally installed fake votes from fake people from himself, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So in other words, fake votes from fake people to win an election is what I call stealing an election.
With fake
so
signatures.
in other words, like
You can
according
call
to
that
you,
what
Donald
you-
Trump tried to legally steal the election.
I'm well aware what you believe it means, but it doesn't mean that to most other people. That's why
Okay,
Trump
so-
won
so- So yeah,
election.
so you don't think that installing fake votes from fake people to win an election is stealing
And
an
nor does the
election?
majority of the public. Because Trump won
okay,
again.
so I
You
just
guys
think
can
that you're
keep
completely
pushing
incoherent.
this stuff.
So
Appealing to
want
the public means nothing to me. I'm sorry. Like it means nothing to me.
for real, but I just want you to repeat after me, okay? Okay, tell me if I'm doing anything wrong. Tell me if I'm saying anything wrong. Are you okay? Is that okay with you?
Yep.
If you're in a democratic election and you install fake votes from fake people for yourself in that election to win the election in which you would have otherwise lost,
He didn't do that.
you stole the election.
He didn't do that. He put them there to.
We'll get there. We will get there.
He sent
If
it
you're-
back to the
we'll
state.
get there. Stop. If we're in election and I install fake votes from fake people for myself to win the election, did I steal the election?
That would be stealing an election, correct?
Okay, so if you use fake votes from fake people, it means
Fake
that you're
signatures.
trying to steal the election. All right? So all that this means is that you do think that Donald Trump tried to steal the election. You just think it was legal.
Rightfully his. So he can't steal something that's rightfully his.
Okay, so the underlying argument here is that you think that the election was stolen, and therefore any method that Donald Trump uses to quote unquote reclaim the election is therefore legal.
Also,
I
to
do
say
not
that
think
you
that.
also, I don't think that you have a right to do anything that's legal. I think that is a incredibly terrible idea.
Will you just tell us what the fuck you think? Because I'm like, we are asking you these questions, and you're like saying, no, I don't think that. Yes, I do think that. What do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump did anything wrong?
No.
So you think if something's legal, it's not wrong.
I think that he believes the election was stolen and he was doing what he believed was
just
in the
wanna
best interest, and it was legal for him to do that.
So I just want to clarify, just because something's legal doesn't mean that you could rightfully do it. Like, I don't think I could rightfully scream the N-word right now.
Yeah,
even
you
though
can.
it'd be-
I mean, it's not smart and it's stupid to do, but you can do it.
So you think if you can do something, you should do it.
No one made that claim. Why do you guys continue
What
to
do you
do
mean
that?
by rightfully then?
I can rightfully do all kinds of things.
What do you mean by rightfully?
I have the right. Donald Trump had the right to say this election
okay.
was
So
stolen.
all that you're arguing is that Donald Trump had the right to steal the election.
Donald Trump had
Actually, no.
Donald Trump had the
do you
duty
think
of
that
the
Donald Trump had the right to
President
say
of
it?
America to have a fair election, and there was not a fair election in 2020. Period.
Okay. No. Okay. Okay. So, do you believe that Donald Trump? One, that he believed it, but you can believe something that is incorrect, and that still doesn't make it like not wrong and like not illegal.
Yeah, like if you
Right.
believe that a 12-year-old can consent and you rape a kid, like that doesn't mean that you didn't do anything wrong.
That's
No, like-
illegal.
like-
ding dong.
No. Donald Trump can believe, but he can't fake signatures. He can't fake documents. He can't do things that are illegal in order to get
It
that
wasn't
effect.
illegal. That's what we went over.
It
It's
was
not
illegal. People
It's
were found
not.
guilty of that.
Guilty of what?
Forging documents. Fake signatures of a plot to
What?
send fake certificates to Congress
Yeah, who developed the Pence card?
in the 7 states.
Who developed the Pence card? Well, who developed that? What was the lawyer's name? Rudy Giuliani, then one other lawyer. Who was it?
Do you guys? I have a,
Because two of his lawyers lost their law licenses. And
Oh
they
yeah, it
also
was
paid for them.
Giuliani and
Who's the other guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, such a forgettable name.
John Eastman.
John Eastman. There you go. Yeah, John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani developed this theory, and they ended up losing their law licenses for it.
do you
Like
guys-
if it was so legal, how come the lawyers that made it up lost the right to
Well, no,
practice?
but not even that
let
though.
me can I ask
Okay,
a
go
question?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
With all this and all this discussion, would you guys agree? And I obviously everyone should, that the thing that we need to do more than anything is to instill maximum amount of trust in our electoral process so that no one in January 6th never happens again. Do you guys like have IDs, vote in person, like
No,
natural,
no, I
like,
reject that. No,
I'm
I
not
reject
letting.
So
that.
you guys
I'm not.
want
I'm not.
this
Let,
to
I'm not
keep
letting
that.
you change the topic of
So you
conversation.
guys want this to keep happening?
I'm not.
I
I'm not.
reject that.
I'm
You
not
guys
going to
want
let
this
you
to keep-
change the topic of conversation, sir. Anything. Like I'm not going to lie. If you're going to sit here and say that you think that Donald Trump had a right to steal the election, he was
I
totally
didn't say
based.
that. I said he had a
totally,
right to
shut
file
up.
those.
Totally based, totally justified. You know, Big Daddy Don up in the house doing whatever the fuck he wants, and I'm going to suck on his boot anyways. You're never going to be able to convince me that you give a fuck about anything else. Like,
And
God.
also, I find it hilarious that you said, "Oh, let's all agree that we need more trust in the system, and let's do that by doing every fucking right wing thing known to man." That's what you want to do. You want to install right wing ideology on election. That's what you think will promote trust. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. So no, we are not on the same page.
So you're
Yeah.
against IDs.
Oh, I don't think that you should even need to register to vote at this point. Yeah, honestly, who gives a shit about them, right? You
believe
think it's
that.
okay to rig them? You know, fuck it, dude. How about all you need to do to vote is just like put a little tally with a fucking pencil on
Dude,
like a
I
public
crushed
board
you in this debate
somewhere in
today,
your head,
and
somewhere
you're
in
going
your thumb.
nutty. I crushed you and you're going nutty. Let's pick a new topic and I'll crush you on that one too.
You crushed nothing.
Rhett, listen, I get it. It is a very common thing that guests on my platform do when they lose is to say that they didn't lose.
You
because
said that you
humans hate
proved
being
it,
wrong.
and there's no court case that proved anything. It's all hyperbolic conjecture.
Do you want me
by
to give you the name of the court case in one of the 7 states in which people from the Trump campaign were found guilty? Like, is that what you want? He would have been found guilty in a federal case if it
This had
wasn't just for the
nothing to do
fact that he
with
won
immunity.
re-election.
Can I also say
Nothing to
this?
do with immunity.
Yo, you're right. Yo, this whole rhetoric about there was no court case, therefore it's speculation, even though Trump admitted it, shit has to end. Let me ask you a question. If you literally witnessed a murder, okay, but then that murder never went to trial, would you say that your claim that person A unalived person B would therefore be speculative?
Dude,
It happens in reality all the time. You're a witness to murder, okay? Let's say you witnessed
you understand
Adam
what happened?
Schmurder. Listen, let's say you witnessed Adam Schmurder Andrew, okay? It never goes to court. Would you say your claim that Adam Schmurdered Andrew is therefore speculative?
I would say if somebody's sitting here and they say to Trent, you can
No, stop! Is your claim that Adam Schmurdered Andrew therefore speculative because it never went to court?
I'm not even following your silly bullshit.
God, it's
I just
less
wanna
than
talk
2
about the
sentences.
point.
A third grader could do better than you,
Why
right?
can't we
Come
just talk
on,
about
buddy.
the point?
Come on, buddy. Okay, I'll repeat it. 2 sentences. And by the way, if you can't follow this time, I will pull out the crayons and the polka dotted printer paper, and I will draw it out for you, Rhett. Here's the question: you witness Adam unalive Andrew.
Trump thought he was doing something legal.
Rhett,
so I
if,
witnessed
you're
somebody doing
obviously
something
not going to be
legal.
able to follow what I say if you're
Okay.
interrupting me, bud.
Dean,
I want to
analogy is
prove
wrong.
this point. And then a question can't be wrong. There's no truth value to questions, sir. Oh my God.
No, hold on. Okay, Adam
analogy's
believed
wrong.
that when he was unaliving Andrew, he was doing something good. Does that not make it like Schmurder?
Correct. Yes, 100%. Adam could have believed that he was getting ready to kill
No!
somebody. Shoot some, spew somebody else. So yes,
Okay,
there's
I
other
just-
facts
You're
to it.
adding variables.
Seriously, I just want
variables.
an answer to my very simple question. You witness Adam unalive Andrew. Never goes to court. Is your claim that therefore Adam unalived Andrew speculative?
Thank you both for the $5 too. Thank you so much.
I don't understand what the hell you are talking about.
A third grader could understand that question.
No, they couldn't. Because the hypothetical that you're trying to draw isn't real. Trump did nothing illegal. So
How about this? How about this? You witness Adam unalive Andrew, but it never goes to court. Do you
why
still
is
yet
he
have good
unaliving
reason?
someone? Trump did nothing illegal.
Rhett, why the fuck are you talking about Trump? I'm talking about Adam and Andrew.
Okay,
I need you
do
to follow.
Adam and Andrew.
I
And he
need you to.
did
I
nothing
need
illegal.
you to. I need you to follow. You witness Adam unalive Andrew, never goes to court. Are you still justified in believing that Adam unalived Andrew? If you need clarification on like my 5 words, feel free to ask.
Yeah, he's unalived.
Do you have good reason to believe that? That Adam unalived Andrew even though it never went to court?
If the human being is no longer in existence and I watched it happen, yes, that would be a perfectly good assumption to make. Yes.
Great. So the reason why I'm so incredibly relevant is because although it was never proven in a court of law with a guilty verdict that Donald Trump sent these fake slates of electorates to these 7 key swing states to steal the vote.
So
from
why did the
Biden.
Democrats stop doing
Hey,
it?
sir, if you interrupt me again, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be upset, bud. Come on. How old are you? Let's get real quick, Rhett. What is your age?
I'm 48.
Why are you, at your old age, letting a 20-year-old be more mature than you?
Dude, you do not allow me to speak, and you keep saying stupid hypotheticals. Do a hypothetical where the person,
Sir,
whoever he is, thought he was doing something legal,
Can I
and
please-
I witnessed him do that, and then somebody else thinks it's illegal.
can I please
What
ask
happened
you,
with
sir,
Trump?
can I please ask you to be more mature than the 20-year-old? Is that a fair ask?
You,
Also, chat, that's not old, but it's old to me because I'm 20. How about that? How about that? The same way I'm sure that a 15-year-old would call me an unk, okay? Right? But listen, the point of the matter is I'm going to challenge you to be more mature than the person that's less than half your age. But
being that you
here's the
continue,
analogy. Are you ready?
am I allowed to speak and say yes?
You're allowed to say yeah.
Yes, sir, I am ready. Thank you.
Great. So here's my claim.
Do you feel
told me.
powerful?
Do I feel powerful? No, I feel
Yeah.
powerless because there's absolutely nothing I could do to just get you to engage in a productive dialogue.
No, you're trying to force me to agree with you, and I keep combating it with facts, saying what you said is untrue.
I mean, actually,
It's not
right
been
now,
proven.
I'm just trying to force you to like engage in a productive dialogue. So,
Go
like,
for
once
it.
again, you
Let's
asked me if
talk
I feel
about it.
powerful. In situations like this, I feel powerless.
Okay.
I feel like I couldn't have or possess.
Is that why you went
less
on that whole
power
diatribe
because
about
it is
feeling 20 years
absolutely
old?
unreal that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, there's nothing I can say or do to convince you to just have a productive dialogue. I honestly thought that my little manipulation tactic of saying I'm less than like half your age and I'm acting more mature than you would kind of be like that public embarrassment factor where you're like, oh, I got to shape it up. So like the 10,000 people watching don't think that the 20-year-old is more mature than me at near 50. I thought that would work. It's obviously proven not to work. So at this point, I think I'm out of options. My last option is just to do the force mute game. The force mute game sucks. Rhett, I hate it. It's my least favorite thing ever. I honestly, not even going to play it. So I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to try to communicate this point to you one last time. So this pompous attitude, let it go. The interruptions, let it go. The cortisol levels, bring them down. Just a little bit. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was saying. So I asked you if you literally watched Adam unalive Andrew, but it never went to court, would you have good reason to believe that Adam unalived Andrew? You said yes. Okay. So we could use evidence to prove a claim outside of a verdict from a court. But I'd also like to clarify, you don't care about verdicts from courts because you don't think that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, even though the unanimous jury of 9 agreed. But I digress. My main point is that I have the evidence of an admission of guilt from Trump to prove that he tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020. He admitted to sending fake slates of electorates. He admitted to sending them with fake certificates of ascertainment. We have the fake certificates of ascertainment. He admitted to pressuring Mike Pence into certifying them as real. Bill Barr admitted that Donald Trump tried to pressure him into falsely announcing widespread voter fraud. You've admitted that he tried to literally, apparently legally, rig the outcome of the election. So when you hit me back with a claim that it wasn't proven in court, therefore it doesn't matter. Okay? It does matter because although it wasn't proven in court, it was proven outside of court.
It was proven it happened, correct. It wasn't proven that he tried to steal anything because it may have rightfully been his. That's what the court was there to determine, and it never happened. Do you want me? Another thing I'd like to bring up, you just brought up Eugene Carroll, that there was a grape case, and that is a fact propaganda. Also, that case had nothing to do with grape, and you're repeating a lie and you're repeating propaganda. Please stop doing it. What would you like me to destroy you on next?
It was all about grape. The action
No,
that
it
he was
wasn't.
held civilly liable for doing was the forceful penetration of her female member with his fingers. That is grape.
Incorrect. That is not, it was a defamation lawsuit. You need to learn what you're talking about.
You could read the verdict form. The lawsuit was for
You
both
can read the verdict
defamation
form, but what they filed was a
and-
defamation lawsuit, sir.
you could
And it was
read
in
the-
civil court.
He was
So
held.
You cannot
He was
be
held
criminally
liable.
liable in civil court.
Sir, he was
So
held
what
liable.
you said was incorrect.
No, what I said was correct. He was held liable for both defamation and essay.
He was not. That was not even part of the case.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. They charged for defamation. That's it.
No. You could read the court documents and see that he was literally fined $82 million for defamation on top of $4 million for essay.
Perfectly fine.
He was charged $4 million for essay. The verdict form was guilty of essay and of defamation. It was a court case to conclude defamation and essay. So tell me that you're wrong. Say, Dean, I just lied and I'm sorry.
So you need to say it because this is never. You said that he was a criminal, and it was not in criminal court. You lied, Deanie.
He never
What?
said that.
I never
You
said
died,
that.
Deanie Weenie. He's not a criminal.
What?
He never said that.
What?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he
said
is a
he
criminal
was
because, you know,
criminal.
Wait,
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 counts,
wait, wait. I never said shit. I said that he was held liable for grape. I
wasn't.
said, yes,
He-
I think he was, yeah. So the action that he was held liable for was
You believe
the
that happened also?
The action that he was held liable for was the forceful penetration of Eugene Carroll's female member with his fingers. I think that is grape.
You guys love repeating the propaganda that's created, and then you don't understand why you keep losing elections.
Which
No
part of
one
that statement?
believes
Which
that-
part of
no
that
one
statement?
believes
Wait,
the
I have a
case
question.
In general,
Wait,
is
I have
valid.
a question. Which part of that statement was propaganda? Was it propaganda to say that he was held liable?
entire case is
No.
propaganda.
Listen, was it propaganda to say that he was held liable for the forceful penetration of a female member with his fingers, or was it propaganda to say that the forceful penetration of the female member with fingers is grape? Which part of my statement was false?
Neither of those are
So both of those statements are true.
correct.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So then why the
You're
fuck were
working
you
off
calling
of
me
the
a liar?
propaganda
Then
that was
why the
created.
fuck were you calling me a liar? Why did you just try to go on this like little rant and monologue saying that Dean, you're wrong, you're a liar. The case had nothing to do with SA. It was only defamation, nothing to do with SA. Oh my God, do you hear yourself? So let me get this straight. The case had nothing to do with SA, but the case had all to do with SA simultaneously at the same time by the same person saying it? What? Rhett, this is insanity. I can't even believe what my ears are hearing, dude. I mean, wow. Color me shocked. Just kidding. I am so used to this shit.
And by the way, a person who only complains about left-wing propaganda are they themselves propagandists, because you're not even willing to admit that the right wing does any of it. So I'm sorry, but like every time you say that's propaganda, I'm gonna be like it washes over me because I don't listen to like propagandists also. So
Okay, also, I just want to say, Rhett, spending $70 to get cooked this bad is crazy.
I know, what a waste of money.
Do you want me to, Rhett, do you want me to refund you? I will.
Yeah, I would. Please.
You got it, dude. I will happily refund that.
He might need the money.
Because listen,
I'll hold you to it.
I feel bad like broiling you as hard as I am,
Dude, you have no
But
idea
you
how
also-
bad you look right now.
but you also pay. I will refund, and that's not even a joke. I will do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Next question I would have is, were you aware in 2016 when Brennan, the head of the CIA, met with Obama and Clinton, or Obama and Biden, and told them in the White House that Hillary Clinton was getting ready to activate a plot to attach Donald Trump to Russia in order to distract from her email campaign? Are you two aware that that happened?
I will happily respond to your claim about 2016 after you respond to any of the 10 billion fucking claims that I've made to disprove your statements that you have left in the dust.
Which claim did I not respond to yet?
You specifically said that it was untrue that the civil court between E. Jean Carroll and Donald Trump had anything to do with SA, and it was only about defamation.
That was what I believed, correct?
That was what you believed?
So
That's what I believe. Yeah, yes, correct.
So
Past tense?
if it was only about defamation and then not about SA, why was he fined $4 million for SA?
Because the Democratic Party likes to create propaganda for you guys to repeat.
So you don't think it's true he was fined $4 million for SA in that same court case?
I think the entire case is BS, and so does the whole country.
But
That's why Trump won.
That's a different claim. You could say the case is BS, but that's a different
It
claim
is.
than the case for SA didn't happen. So,
And as said,
I mean,
I
let me
don't
try to like explain to you the equivocation you're making. You're saying that the case didn't have anything to do with SA, but then as soon as I'm like, yes, it did. He was fined $4 million for
Prove it. Pull it up and show it to
You're
me.
just like, pull up the verdict form.
He's so like back and forth. Yes, I agree. No, I don't agree. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, no,
I'm trying to
no.
move on to a new topic
No.
because
Let me
I've
just
destroyed you
say,
on this.
let me explain to you
I'm bored with this
let me explain to you the
destruction.
equivocation you're making.
Oh, please do, because you're so much more intelligent. That's why I keep making you look the fool.
Anyways, so you made the claim that the civil court case was only about defamation. and
Yes,
had
that's still what I
nothing-
believe.
One moment, and had nothing to do with SA. And then I'm like, well, in the verdict form of the court, he was held liable for SA and fined $4 million for it. But then you're like, well, it wasn't propaganda. It didn't actually happen. Okay, but this is an equivocation that you're making here. Because the first claim is that he just literally didn't have any civil court proceedings about SA at all, and there's only defamation. And the second claim you're making is, well, it was a part of the civil proceedings that he was held liable for SA, and he was fined for it, but it just didn't happen, and it was a fake claim. So which one is it? Was he held liable for SA, but it never happened? Or was he not held liable for SA and only defamation?
I'll answer the same way I did before. I don't know. It is my opinion that it was only regarding defamation. That is what I know of the case. Correct.
Have you ever read the court documents?
No, I have not. Why would I spend time on your guys' propaganda?
So
If I-
how
nation
wait,
isn't believing
wait,
this, dude.
Rhett, how do you know it's propaganda if you've never read the court documents? That's like me
Well-
saying that all the food in your fridge is spoiled, even though I don't even know where you live.
When they do the Russian tactics of changing laws in order to bring the case because it's all political, that means it's all political. So from that point forward, any rational human being would say, yeah, this is all political and I'm not going to pay any attention to any of this because it's the left once again creating propaganda, just like Hillary did in 2016,
Okay.
that you two will not talk about.
Okay, so no laws were changed specifically for E. Jean Carroll with the intention of allowing political propaganda to be brought against Trump.
That is absolutely
But
untrue.
I want to respond to that claim second, because I want to ask you here. If you're saying that the verdict of the court was false, all that you're saying is that the jury ruled he was guilty without enough evidence, right? Right?
I didn't hear what you were saying.
When you say that the case was propaganda and like the verdict was wrong, what that means is that the jury ruled Trump was guilty without enough evidence that Trump was guilty, right?
No, the whole case is bullshit. All the evidence is bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Wait.
Everyone knows that. That's why Trump won, dude.
Wait.
You guys can keep pushing
Okay,
this crap.
yeah,
No one believes.
more propaganda. So I want to clarify here. You just denied that the jury ruled with insufficient evidence. So you think that the jury had sufficient evidence Trump was guilty, but Trump's not guilty? That is intelligible nonsense.
He denies all
Unintelligent
like
nonsense.
Trump illegality. He thinks Trump did nothing wrong ever. Like he's basically Jesus Christ, right? I mean, Trump is just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I just want you to be clear, because this is a binary. It's either one or the other. Did the jury rule with insufficient evidence to find Trump guilty, that he was guilty, or did the jury just straight up have enough evidence to say that he was guilty? Which one was it?
The law was changed in 2019.
You're not
to allow
answering. You're not
1 year
answering my
window
question. I
for
will
this
happily
false
allow you.
lawsuit to be-
I will to avoid this question. Did the
Which
jury
law-
have enough evidence to determine Trump was guilty, or did the jury not have enough evidence to determine that the Trump was guilty? For somebody that's saying Trump was ruled as being guilty, but in all actuality he was innocent, this answer should be easy. Like, which
They
one
didn't have
was it?
enough evidence. They did
Okay.
not have enough evidence.
Great. So you're saying that the jury ruled Trump was guilty without enough evidence of Trump's guilt. Name one piece of evidence.
What? Name one piece of evidence of what?
Name one piece of evidence that E. Jean Carroll's attorneys submitted to the jury inside of the civil court that the jury then used to hold him liable.
One of them was a dress that she said she was in that wasn't even produced until after that happened.
See, this is why you need to read the court documents. Because if
Did
you
that
read
happen?
it didn't.
Did what I just say happen?
No. Horrible. If you're going to say a claim, I'm going to respond to the claim. Are you real? Are you a human?
No.
Dude, you have problems.
Oh, I have problems because I
Look at
want to
your anger
debunk
issues because somebody's pointing
So
out that you're wrong.
I would like to clarify. I'm not angry. I'm assertive. There's a big difference between those two claims. Now, I do understand that the level of assertiveness that I'm suggesting in my conversation with you is quite extreme, but the
Because you're
extreme
being
level
proven
of
wrong.
assertiveness that I am portraying in our conversation is justified because if I wasn't this assertive, you would be derailing the conversation every 10 seconds because you are scared of the truth. And I'm damn good at proving the truth. Okay? I've kind of made a career out of it. But anyways, you said that a piece of evidence that the jury used to find Trump guilty was a dress. That claim is not true. In fact, the judge denied that the dress could be entered into the court as a piece of evidence because Donald Trump denied to submit his DNA to be tested against the DNA on the dress. And because Donald Trump denied to submit his DNA for that reason, therefore, the judge ruled that the dress was merely speculatory. Because the only evidence that his DNA was on it was E. Jean Carroll's testimony. So he denied the dress too. And that's why it's important for you to read the court documents. Also, I'm going to say this as well. You said that the dress only
Literally the part I'm
begun-
talking about that the
You also said that the dress only begun being produced after 1996. Yet another false claim. That claim does not originate from the manufacturer of the dress. I'm actually pretty sure that claim originates from an alt-right Russian misinformation website. Not the manufacturer. The manufacturer never said it. Do you want to bet money? Let's do it. I say what?
I mean, he
you wanna
already
bet
did.
$100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to bet a
$70,
lot.
and he already lost
Dude,
it.
I want
So.
to bet lots of money with you. I want to bet so much money with you, you'd be.
Let's do.
You'd
Okay,
be broken in a week.
let's bet $100 that the manufacturer never said the dress was only begun being produced after.
I don't need the manufacturer to say that. Can other people say it? Just like what you had before. Can other people make a claim? I don't need the manufacturer to make a claim
So how do you know that the dress only begun production after 1996?
because they can look up. That's the first time it ever went for sale. That's what production means, sir.
Okay, would you be
Just
able to
like
give me
they
the
can
evidence for the
verify
claim?
Hunter Biden's laptop
So
by simply
please give-
asking the other person if they received the email. but you
so
lied about that
because-
earlier too.
So therefore, please give me the evidence for the claim that this dress only begun being produced following 1996. You won't be able to do it because
Type.
like the evidence for the claim is misinfo. I'll wait though.
You are live on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey YouTube, how's it going?
Yippee. All right, hey, while he's looking for the evidence that doesn't exist, I'm going to go and thank a couple donors real quick. Sid, thank you so much for the 50 dollars over on YouTube Super Chat. That is so incredibly kind of you, Sid. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get 500 W Sids down below in all of those live chats. Sid says, "Hey, dude, so excited for Texas OMG." Sid, I'm so excited for Texas too. I cannot wait to meet you. We're gonna have a fun day down there. Thank you so much for the love, Sid. Also, Wayne, once again, thank you so much for the 70 ZAR, and then Argina with a $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. 200 in Argina W's. And Argina says, "I don't understand the point of him going on and on about the Hunter Biden laptop thing, then just right out ignores everything that the right does to threaten democracy." Well, it's because this guy is like a partisan hack. And for those curious, by the way, Rhett actually worked on Trump's campaign. So he's going to defend Trump till the bitter end. It actually would have been pretty valuable for me to bring that up before now.
So he's
the
a true
last
believer.
time, yeah. The last time he came up, I got him to concede that Trump Gaza was ethnic cleansing. And then he argued that ethnic cleansing was good. So, by the way, he actually just got a ban.
Well, I mean, I will say though, now that I know that he's from like the Trump campaign, it does make more sense why he's the propagandist here, because like you know, like a true real propagandist. I mean, you know, they do like, you know, work on campaigns and follow their guy to the bitter end and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, no, he's like literally definitionally speaking a propagandist. By the way, hey, what's going on, Lisa? Do you support Trump? Lisa is not here, so we're going to move on to the next guest. If you are one of the 7,000 people in the live stream and you do support the president and you'd like to come up here and have a debate with me, make sure that you drop a MAGA down below in that live comment section. We're going to get you up here for a conversation. And if you're one of the 7,000 people watching the live, good to have you in here. Make sure to hit that follow button, new Dean account, and make sure that you're double tapping on that phone screen and sharing that live. I'd also like to point out that TikTok censorship has been heavy when this live gets taken down. And it's actually going to be right now. So it's actually going to be literally right now, quite frankly. Everyone hit that follow button. Go ahead and hit that follow button. We're going to go and restart the live. I'll be right back. Click on that profile picture. We're just going to do a quick restart because of what that last guest just did. But we've also had a bunch of flags throughout the day. So I was going to do a restart anyways. It is a good idea.